Hey guys, my name's Saber Hare, and I just finished making a horror game for the Brackeys Game Jam 2025.2. And not to brag, but I just got 7 whole reviews. So let's talk about it. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about what the theme selections were and my ideas for them. The themes were collection, uncharted territory, risk it for the biscuit, meeting point, celebration, weird instruments, a special backpack, and building. I started brainstorming and came up with a few ideas. For weird instruments, I thought about a rhythm game based on singing monsters. For building, I came up with a mimic farm. I pulled an old idea from my save for later notes for collection, where it's just Snake, but you're the fruit running away. I did the same with Uncharted Territory, writing down a Cthulhu game I came up with in the past. But then I came up with a game idea that combined half the themes into one. A maze game where you have to go through a library and collect 4 magic scrolls into your backpack and escape while you're being slowly hunted by a bookworm monster. The top half of the monster would look like the librarian from Don't Starve, but the bottom half would look like a giant worm or caterpillar. I was really happy with this and decided to start researching maze generation in the month leading up to the jam. Now here's the fun part. I actually did a variation of the Prim's algorithm that would work in a 3D space. For those of you who don't know, Prim's is a pathfinding algorithm that takes in a group of nodes, gets a starter node, and then its neighbors, and generates a path that touches every node in the group. And for decades, people have been using it to do the exact opposite and generate mazes rather than solve them. My personal variation takes in a 3D node in Godot with 4 walls, creates a grid of any size I like, and then treats every cell like a node. Following the standard algorithm, deleting 2 connecting walls every time a random neighbor cell is selected. This means that both the player and the monster can visit every cell on the map, and the maze is different every time it's generated. I managed to finish this about 4 days before the jam started. And then it happened. The one theme I didn't come up with an idea for, Risk It for the Biscuit, was selected. I was devastated. Being a waitress, I unfortunately work doubles on Sundays. This means that I couldn't program at all, just brainstorm and jot down ideas on receipt paper between tables. By the time my shift ended, I decided to keep the maze game idea, but change the monster to match the theme. I switched the magical scrolls into one big magical chicken biscuit of power, and the librarian into Clucky, the blind chicken that can only hunt the player by sound. You would no longer be in a haunted library, but a run-down and abandoned kitchen. Now, let me be clear, just because I took the time to work on the maze generation algorithm before the jam doesn't mean I didn't work my butt off throughout the jam. I haven't ever worked with enemies aggroed by sound, nor have I ever done a nav mesh that works with procedurally generated environments in Godot. The nav mesh alone took me all of Monday, before work anyhow, and that all went to hell once I added tables anyway. Clucky kept getting stuck, and that took me another 2 days to fix. Another challenge was porting Blender models into Godot. Clucky still has a massive box that I don't know how to change, and the textures alone took me all day. Every time I tried to add red details to Clucky, the UV map would make his entire head red, and I was terrified that I would somehow break the NSFW rule for the Brackeys Game Jam. I could have changed the UV map, but I haven't done that in years, so by Friday, when I was too exhausted, I just decided that Clucky's going to be missing some details since it's mostly in the dark anyway. On the bright side, I got to animate in 3D in Godot for the first time, making Clucky's walking animation. And I got to make an emissive texture for the biscuit. I even got to make little floating labels in 3D, which is really fun. By Saturday, I was down to polishing, which is great because, again, waitress. I had to work all of Friday night and all of Saturday morning. And of course, I had another double on Sunday, so I had to try and at least get some sleep. I managed to make a little title page in Krita, a game page on Itch, and I somehow submitted before the deadline. Now for the final results. With a whopping 7 reviews out of 2,999 games, I ranked 1408. Now my overall rank might be 1408, but my theme rank actually got into the upper 1000s, and not one of my rankings got into the lower 2000s. And my first review called it the next PT, which, thank you! This was a great experience, and I plan to update the game shortly, adding different art and making it closer to the original idea, where I have 4 biscuits and a bigger maze. Also, I want Clucky to hone in on you whenever you harvest a biscuit. If you want to download the Game Jam version, it's free on itch.io. Right now, I have it set to pay what you want, because again, the game's 30 seconds long, but I also like to pay rent and, buy fancy coffee every now and again. So if you feel like donating, please do. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll let y'all know whenever I update the game next. Please tell me what you think about it. Bye, guys.